Well, oh wow. Good night, good night, good night, good night to all of you. How y'all doing? Tell me how y'all doing. You know, it's been quite a while. 2 Wednesdays ago, and we're here again this Wednesday for another episode of Advancing the Cause. But you know what? It's a little bubbly this time because we are in the month of December, and just now it's going to be Christmas. How y'all doing? It's always a pleasure to have you here because without you, we'll have no advancing the cause. And tonight we're in for a good time, let me say that, just for the want of a better word. And so while I'm on, let me say shout out to all those who are watching us from near and from far. We've got people in North America, we've got people in Switzerland, we've got some folks from the UK watching us, we've got some folks from Turkey, some of my trade union colleagues there who are watching us. And of course, we got the Bajans in the house, we got the St. Lucians in the house, we got those from St. Vincent and the Grenadines in the house. Hey, good night to all of you. And I'm hoping that tonight we are going to have a rocking time on this program. But before we get into this program, let me say to you, there are a couple of things that we need to address very quickly. In the news tonight, we saw just a couple of minutes ago, a 30-year-old businessman from Linden. He was arrested. He's in police custody because the police found what? I think it's 2 pistols and a series of rounds and magazines. Yes, thanks to News Source, we saw that there, that businessman, in addition to what they found there in terms of the weapons they found there, they found lots of cash, 6.9 million Guyana dollars, and the 7,445 US. They were also found stashed in a wardrobe. Well, the police have got to do what they have to do. And we're going to talk some more about this because I noticed quite recently there have been lots and lots of findings, lots and lots of breakthrough with the police finding cannabis here. I think we just a couple of minutes ago too, there was a stash found at the Ogle Airport, Eugene Korea's airport. There they found marijuana stashed again. And so these are all issues that are popping up every 2 days or every other day, every 3 days, where the police are finding these stashes. And I'm hoping that the police will do what they have to do when it's time to account for those monies. Those monies are going to be accounted for when it's time to account for those weapons and so on. They're going to be accounted for because you know what? Lots of times when we have busts like these, when you look for the items as exhibit, you take a part and then the other part can't be found. So I'm hoping that not because it's Christmas time that we are going to be stashing from the stash that would have been found. So that is some of what we have very, very quickly in the news. And then we have the election of the opposition leader that is still in crisis. The Win Party, they have appealed now to CARICOM to assist with the election of the leader of the opposition. And then we got bigger news for you, and we want to say congratulations to the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. 25 years of being under the leadership of Ralph Gonsalves, the very man who said to one of our former president, the Honorable His Excellency David Granger, take your licks like a man. Well, let me tell you what, the people in St. Vincent, they put lashes on him. And I am hoping that he was able to take it like a man too. So congratulations to the new Prime Minister and the new government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And then we had St. Lucia. The Prime Minister has been re-elected. He and this government, they have been re-elected to serve for another term in office. So again, congratulations to our two sister Caribbean islands. And we wish the governments well, because your job is to serve the people and not to serve yourself. But as we move on from there, we want to say happy birthday to quite a few persons who would have celebrated their birthdays from last week to now. We have, again, persons celebrating their 80th birthdays. Happy birthday to you. We have about 4 persons, and I don't want to start calling the names because when I call names, sometimes I don't remember a name and then I get myself into problems. So happy birthday to all those who would have celebrated their birthdays, especially those who would have gone past that 70. Happy birthday to you. And then we've had some 14 and some 16. We've had 25 years old. Happy birthday to all of you. And I trust that this year is going to be a blessing for you, a blessing that will bring abundant success to you and more happiness. And then while we're in that, we want to extend heartfelt condolences to those who have lost loved ones during this period. It's not easy to lose a loved one, but we want to pray that God will continue to have his wings to comfort you and to help you to use the memories of your loved ones to carry on. So again, on behalf of all of us here from the Advancing the Cause crew, we want to send out heartfelt condolences to you, and we pray that God will grant you the comfort. Tonight, I want to introduce to you a fine young man. He's going to be talking with us tonight. We're going to be having this discussion, and the discussion tonight is based on the theme that says the tactics is massive. The tactics is massive. And I'm sure you know what I'm talking about when we talk about the tactics is massive. And so I want to bring on screen who's going to be joining me, Dr. Paul Williams. Dr. Paul Williams served at the level of Deputy Commissioner of Police Administration. Dr. Paul Williams, welcome to Advancing the Cause. I know that you're no stranger to programs like these, but I want to welcome you to Advancing the Cause. And here is where we give the whole truth. And like my good friend, Poor People Governor would say, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help me God. So here we discuss frankly issues that are affecting our people, issues that the government feels that our people are stupid and that they can tell us what they feel like telling us. But before we go into the conversation, Dr. Paul, I just want you to be able to tell our audience, who is Dr. Paul?
Well, good evening, Coretta. Good evening to you and the viewing audience. I want to say season greetings to all your viewers, and it's a pleasure having me here on your program for the first time. But indeed, I'm not a stranger to these type of programs. And well, I'm well known, but still, there might be some persons who are now seeing me for the
Mhm.
first time. I'm Dr. Paul Williams, DSM. I obtained a national award for my outstanding performance and my integrity and character. Also, I've served the Guyana Police Force for almost 40 years, and I retired last year. And now I'm here trying my best to give public service still on the basis in terms of trying to reach out to our people and bring them to this level of awareness and consciousness as it relates to the state of Guyana and what is best for them. Okay, so on this program, I'm very thankful to be here and I'm ready and willing to share my experience and as much as advice I can give to our viewers.
Well, Dr. Williams, thank you so much again for accepting the invitation. Tonight we're going to talk about, and we're going to center our discussion on what I term there as a theme. The tactics is massive. The tactics is massive. We've seen coming out of the Auditor General's report where he flagged the government for $8 billion in gifts that have been that have been unaccounted for. I mean, $8 billion. This is not $5,000. This is not $8 million. This is not 800. But this is $8 billion in gifts that would have been accounted for. How do you view that as a police officer reaching that level? How do you view that?
This is very disturbing, and the thing is that we have seen it happen continuously under this administration. The law is there to safeguard our conduct and our behavior and the way we ought to behave. When we attain the office of politicians, it doesn't mean that our interests must override that of the law and the public that we serve. There must be a balance. And the law is there to ensure that we conduct ourselves in a balanced way and also to prevent the mischief. What is the mischief? Whatever you collected so in terms of gift, it must be accounted for. It must be entered into the appropriate record and registered. It must be known where it come from, who it come from, how, and therefore it must show proper accountability. And if the Auditor General steps in and during their analysis and the investigation and they found that those things are not happened or they haven't happened, therefore it requires some amount of action. And why things are continuing to happen in the way it is and even worse, because people are not being held accountable.
Mhm.
How can you
Mhm.
have people there sitting and looking? If something happens, it requires accountability. And if people cannot show proper accountability, there must be some way in terms of they must become answerable. And because people are not being faced with the wrath or some aspect of punishment or whatever it is in terms of bringing them in line, we're going to continue seeing this happening, Coretta. And it is
Well,
very, very disturbing. It's
well,
not, is just what you said, not 800,000, so much more. Look how billions, billions in give. Oh my
you
God.
know, the teachers, when the teachers took industrial action in 2024, the teachers were asking for $12 billion as salary increases, which will cover the entire span of teachers across this country at every level. $12 billion. The government couldn't find $12 billion to give her. They claimed they couldn't find $12 billion to give us. But here it is, we're having $8 billion. I mean, that there could have gone towards paying our teachers. Our teachers are the molders of our nation. But quite often we don't see the kind of recognition that our teachers are supposed to be given, being given to them by this government. What they do, you see them boast and they brag about Guyana tops again. And Guyana is at the top at CSEC and Cape and so on. And you see them dishing out there and pomposetting themselves. Let me use that word. The ministers and so on pomposetting themselves there. And when you look to where to the persons who would have allowed that to happen, who were the teachers, you don't see anything there about the teachers. And you hear about, oh, the child and what the ministry would have done, but you don't hear anything about what the teachers would have done. But that's another part of the story that we will have to deal with, because this government, they have become so blatant and shameless that nothing now bothers them. Nothing. They do everything everything blatantly they do. But you know what? I'm hoping that while our viewers are listening, that these issues are going to resonate with them and they will understand that many of what is unaccounted for, it goes into somebody else's pocket rather than giving you, the citizens, the service that you need. And so while we are awaiting some form of accountability for that one there, which I'm not sure we will get, we have another disgraceful act by the president of this country. Imagine, with cost of living soaring every single minute of the day, the president is proud to announce a $50,000 one-off bonus for persons suffering with disabilities. Could you imagine that? Now, Dr. Williams, Pampers, moving them from one place to the next using a taxi, getting proper medication for them, and you're talking about 50,000 and you're bragging and boasting about this $50,000. Let's talk about that.
It is disturbing, yes, because we know that healthcare is very serious. And the thing is that when you look to see how the society operates now, the society mimics what they see from an international perspective. And now you find that many times you don't have persons no longer in terms of family who are doing things voluntarily or from their heart and these things. Everything requires money, it requires a price. And therefore, in that regard, it is nothing strange to this administration what is happening. And in their consideration, they ought to do better. It is expected that they do better because $50,000 ain't no money. You have said some of the important things. And one of the things that I know for sure that recently I've learned from some relatives is that the person who they're taking care of, they even find themselves have to go into their personal pocket, despite the person may be having certain assistance, but yet still is not enough. So they have to go into their personal pocket and they're seeing it as a burden. And they even move into the direction in terms of wanting to take the person to the Palms or somewhere, so it is pushing people in that direction because it's not that they're not willing to take care of the person, but their financial position, because they say that they're the ones who feel in the hedge and feel the burden of it. And I think these are things, nothing strange in the ears of this administration, and they ought to look at it very seriously. People are under severe pressure,
Mhm.
financially, socially, and in every aspect.
You know, Dr. Williams, when we talk about persons suffering from disabilities or person with disabilities, we're not talking here about a child who was born disabled. We're talking here about citizens just like me and you who went to work and got injured at work, persons who were going to work and they got involved in an accident, and they're crippled from that accident. And so we are talking about people who were accustomed to be moving around, doing this, doing that, and now they're disabled. Somebody's hand is cut off. Somebody's leg, they have one leg or they both legs are off. And so now they have to depend wholly and solely on their relatives to do for them. And you boasting and bragging about $50,000 in this oil rich economy, in this land where we boast about being the new Dubai of the Caribbean, $50,000 one off bonus. I think this government ought to be ashamed of themselves and what they're doing to citizens in this country. And so we're gonna move off from this, and we're gonna talk about these Venezuelans, and here is where your action will coming, Dr. Williams. Here is where your ability, I'm looking for the word, I'm not finding it, but as a policeman, here is where your this is right into your domain. The Venezuelans that we have in Guyana, we've recognized that Venezuelans are coming from here, they're everywhere, but they're ending up in Guyana. They come in from the Kitty Sea Wall, they come in from region 3, they come in from region 2, they come from all parts, and they're here. But what is disturbing is the fact that this government cannot account for the amount of Venezuelans that we have in this country. As a matter of fact, we don't even know sometimes when they're coming in, where they're coming from. We have no follow-up to track where they are, what they are doing, nothing. And then what we see is these very Venezuelans are creating havoc in this country. You tell me, as a policeman, your thoughts on this. I'm not sure what is happening. I think we probably. Dr. Paul, are you there? Are you hearing me, Dr. Paul?
I
I
heard you
am not
partly.
sure.
We're having some internet problem. Yes. But I heard you up to the part where you talk about the Venezuelans and where they're coming in from different places. But after
Mhm.
then, we had a little break in terms of our connection.
Yes, so I was saying that this government, we seem not to be able to have a knock on where these people are in terms of tracking them, what they are doing, how many of them are here. We have nothing. But what we have, everywhere you go, you see them. You see them flooding the hospitals as maids, as security guards, as whatever. As porters, they're at the hospitals. You see them as cleaners in our schools. You see at any and every public place that you could think about, you see them. In every community, you see them. But we seem not to be able to have a hold on them. As a government, there's no hold on them. And so our people are at a loss, because there are times when there are times when Guyanese are afraid when they see a group of Venezuelans moving around, because one, we know that they're very violent people. Your take on this as a policeman?
The movements of migrants, it is something that happens globally. We need to understand that because
Mm-hmm,
I
mm-hmm,
remember way back in the days in terms of like when Jamaica, Barbados, and those places were the place booming. We ourselves were moving, going to those places, looking for employment and try to make a better life. But what I know for sure with those places weren't a free for all. They had a real control system in terms of entering
mm-hmm,
your purpose, ensure that everything that you say it is correct, who you're going, and all these things. Even before you arrive in those countries, if there was someone who were employing you, and even now, there must be certain information already in the system, and those persons must be readily there to say yes. and they're accepting you and all these things. Now we know that yes, way back years ago, many of our persons left Guyana, went to Venezuela and looked for a life. And now this is a situation that confronts Venezuela. So we're seeing a reciprocity in terms of those Venezuelans coming here. But
That's
we
fine.
is important that we have a control mechanism of these people who are there when they're coming, all the necessary information. How come we be such an educated nation with people who are so qualified and competent and sit back and allow this type of situation to create itself to this magnitude that
Mm-hmm.
persons are here and we don't know who they are, where they came from, what is the background about them and all these things. We have so many people here, Venezuelans. We have people from Cuba. We have people from Asia, all over the place in Guyana. And there are lots of things we don't even know about them. What are their background and all these things? And it has been happening so many times because we have seen a lot of example pop up in our system where you can recall there was this guy who was here for quite some time who wanted for a murder, and he was
Mm-hmm.
actually going to gym and all these things, and then
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
subsequently one day the American Most Wanted list is published, and somebody was looking at the television and saw it, and they happens to be in the same gym
Same Jim.
where he was going and exercise. And
Mm-hmm.
that is how the person was actually being, identified and able to be caught. And he was here for years, almost 3 to 4 years.
Yep.
So we may be having similar situation like that. And if those things happen, which are example we're supposed to learn from, that of itself should put we in a check and balance to ensure that we have some system in terms of how we can able to monitor and know these people coming in. I heard the excuse, yes, our board is very porous, but yet still there are particular places that these people need to come to. They need to come to Georgetown. They're looking to come to Latham. They need to come into some key places, looking to come to Bartica. And
Mm-hmm.
whenever they come into those places, it's places where we can exercise monitoring and control and get
Exactly.
data from them. So I cannot see why is it that the system cannot activate it and get itself ready to deal with that. If we have failed so much to the extent where it is really, really showing bad. And this has really truly finds itself happening after the Granger administration. Because prior to that, I know
Mm-hmm.
there were a lot of control mechanisms in place
Yes, you're
for
correct.
persons coming in. Because even if they were slipping in the borders, when they meet to a certain place, I'm saying there were control mechanism that some of them even find themselves not coming into the city, not getting past certain areas because they know definitely it was
Yep.
very tight. There was a lot of monitoring and so on. But now it is totally open up.
Free for all.
If they have a proper system, yes, you will able now to flesh out to know yes. Person who are here genuinely for livelihood, sinister's arrangement for whatever illegal or criminal activities they're here for want to get involved, and you will be able to trash out all those things. And even if you're not 100%, you're not 100% proof system, at least you would have been at the 80, 70% thereabout, which is good enough and manageable. That it would have sent a message to others because, like for instance, when our people were going to Barbados and those places, and when persons behind heard in terms of here, if you go down there, you cannot prove where you're going, or you cannot say this exactly, or you're
The
making
cold
slip up
bench.
in terms of being questioned, you're going on the cold bench, you're getting sent
Cold
back home.
bench.
It is the same thing these people would have really truly find themselves towing the line because they would have realized that even if they slip and they come into the city and they did not come to an official checkpoint and being stamped and all these things, knowing that in the city at any time the police can pull up on you, they can question you, they can take you to the immigration department or wherever it is, get some information from you, and if they prove that you're here and you're not properly stamped or checked in, you'll be sent back on those things. A lot of them would have toed the line and do the right thing. But
Mm-hmm.
it just left open. It just left open. And this leads me now to the part in terms of whereby in the police report, they have said that they saw the person came in this Sunday, come to the gas station, committed the act. So I wanted to know if this person were seen coming in, why is it that I or some amount of surveillance were not on the person all the time,
Was not
but
placed on
just allow the
him.
person to move so freely to come to create that desperate act that caused the life of a child and injured several other persons. So I
Well,
don't, I think something is really, really wrong with our system, really wrong.
yeah, I was going to come to it, but since you raised it, we're going to talk around that. We have seen these Venezuelans, and don't want people to get us wrong. We are not
No, no,
opposed to Venezuelans coming to our country because we've done that
no,
in the
no.
past. But what we're
Yeah.
talking about is the monitoring system. Who know that you are here? Who knows where you're operating from? Who knows who are you? Nobody knows who are you. If you check what is happening in the US, ICE is moving around and they're pulling people in and they're asking you to produce your documents. And if you don't have your documents, then that's another story. But as long as you have your documents, then you're fine. But here we see the Venezuelans walking up, down. In some areas, you feel as if that area is Spanish Town because they outnumber our Guyanese citizens in some areas. And not only they outnumber our Guyanese citizens, when we look at their lifestyles, if you look at how the way they live, I've been walking around areas and you can identify easily where Venezuelans are occupying. The first thing you see is a whole lot of clothing hung on clotheslines all over the place. You see all kinds of things. And so you recognize right away, oh, yes, these are Venezuelans living here. Now, they live here. That's fine. But the manner in which they conduct themselves is what is of concern to me and many other Guyanese. And I don't know, but I think it's not of concern to the government because one, they would have served their purpose here by being here and the government giving them ID cards and they were allowed to vote in our elections recently. That's one. And two, the government ministers, they live in gated communities. The government PSs and a whole lot of them live in gated communities. So they don't care what happens to the ordinary citizens who live in East La Penitence or Northeast La Penitence or living in Tiger Bear or wherever. They don't care about them or living in Stewartville in Region 3 and so on. They don't care about you. And we also find that these Venezuelans, they are not only bullies, but they're violent people. They come and if there's an empty house there, after a couple of days, you see them occupying that house there. And when, if residents go out there to question them and so on, then there's a ruckus there. And so I'm saying all of this to say that our security force, our security personnel, this government should know what is happening. Just the same way this government were tracking the Haitians. I don't know if you remember that. When the Haitians came here, they threw them into the lockups. They deported many of them and they changed the entire procedure in terms of them getting here. And mind you, Haiti is a CARICOM nation. We have signed on to that treaty where we talk about free movement, but yet the citizens of Haiti they are required to have a visa before they come to Guyana. And so again, the tactics is massive. You want what is good for one set, but then you don't want what is good for another set because you in the government, that set of people, the Haitians, they don't look like you, so you don't appreciate them being here. And that's where we have to be able to call a spade a spade. But as we move further on with the Venezuelans, we've seen recently the bombing of a gas station, a bomb exploding at a gas station. Luckily, it was not at the booths where you get the gasoline and the diesel from, but it was somewhere way off. And thank God for that staff that was working there who said to the young man, no, you can't put whatever garbage you were putting, you can't put it in this bin. Go somewhere down the road, son, you'll put it there. And this issue would have caused the life of an innocent 6-year-old girl. This bombing would have caused several persons to be traumatized. And while we're still fighting with those who were held and so on, and we're passing them through court and all kinds of things, and that matter is going on there, to date, we have not been able to hear who owns that gas station. And that's very troubling for me. I don't know about you.
Well, we had a program where I spoke lengthily as it relates to this, and That is one of the things indeed we safeguard going in depth because they might engage attention to court. But the thing is this, I know that there are Venezuelans and other nationals who are here with good intention, with good intention,
Mm-hmm.
and
No doubt
seeking
about that.
a livelihood in a legitimate ways. Okay, what we need to understand is that crime goes with three important things. It goes with the perfect place or the appropriate place. It goes with where the potential victims and the opportunity creates itself. Okay, and if our system is so porous, or our system is so slack, our system is so, not ready in keeping with where these people came from, they're going to take advantage of it. I keep talking to people who I know and I meet every time, and I'm telling them is that despite the Venezuelan situation, where these people came from, their country is like a first world country compared to Guyana. These people are already way advanced in their thinking, in the way of life, how they do
Mm-hmm.
things. Those
Mm-hmm.
people are exposed to military, paramilitary training from a tender
Yep.
age, which
Mm-hmm.
similarly, which Barnum was doing for us from national service. Okay? So when these people come, these people know in terms of what they can take chances with, what to do, where the
Thank you.
opportunity lies, and all of these things. And if we don't see them in that light, we're going to always take them for granted. And when we take them for granted, there is where we're going to create the opportunity for a crime because they're going to find a place appropriate. They're going to find potential victims. And last but not least, the opportunities available for them. So we need to understand this and don't take them for granted because some people are looking at them and say, Veno this or these people like this and these people. Those people came from a country way advanced. And as long as we start to get that and think in that way, we're going to able now to start see them and deal with them in a different light. There are things that we can learn from them. But the thing is that what I'm saying to our system in terms of education wise need to step up, especially in terms of our public awareness. Because the thing is that if we open up to so many nationals, of those people, we are at loss because we don't have the language barrier. We can hear or understand what they're saying and all these things. And now, at this time, if we know that this place now meet to the level where it is dominate with Chinese, dominate with Spanish people and all these things, we need to ensure that we, much as possible, we can have things publicized in Mandarin and in Spanish, in Portuguese, whatever it is that we find that are most dominant. So in simple and easy way, we can able to communicate and learn certain things. So that of itself going to put us on alert if there is something likely to happen, something is being afoot, or whatever the case might be. Sometime among those same people, they are willing to communicate with us to let us know that something is about to happen. But
Mm-hmm.
because of the barrier, we cannot
Mm-hmm.
really get that type of information clearly from them. So let us, in that way, see them in a positive light until we can prove otherwise. But then the system, again, come back to it. It is failing us because the system does not have a proper check and monitoring situation for these people. And once the people realize that that is not happening, that is how they're going about doing all these things, just as what you identify. Look for vacant houses, break and go inside to them, occupied, and then when people come, they have confrontation. You understand
Mm-hmm.
me? They go to other places and they do these things. Those people will actually transfer or transplant their social behavior. And their social behavior is going to take an effect upon us. It may affect the older folks in a negative way, and the younger folks or the middle-aged folks in a positive way because they may move in that direction and see exactly they're in love with that lifestyle. They're in love with the way how they conduct themselves. They're in love with the way in terms of how they party, how they sport, and all these things. But
Mm-hmm.
yet
Mm-hmm.
still, the government have the overarching responsibility to ensure that here, if It doesn't matter where you come, where you like, where you do, how you conduct yourself. This is our system here. This is our law. This is what you have to abide with. And if you cannot abide with it, you have to leave. And put that system in place and have that enforcement. But I haven't seen any type of enforcement in that regard. All I'm seeing is definitely things that keep happening. Look, you remember the incident out at Big Market there, where a policeman was attacked, and stabbed at the back of his head, and beaten up
Yep.
by a group of them, and he had to
Mm-hmm.
resort to the use of his firearm. And I
Mm-hmm.
think one or two of them end up being fatal in order to save his life.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I heard his intervention was very peaceful because they were actually beating up somebody, you know. So just as what you say, these people come from a place where they know survival of the fittest, violence is sometimes is the way out, and all these things.
Mm-hmm.
Likewise, we know that in our place here, we can talk, and who could cause the best end up being the person dominating, or end up being the winner, and these type of things. But these people are very physical, and these are the things we need to
Yep.
understand.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing much educated or sensitized in terms of telling us what the nation is to expect, what we have seen in terms of the presence of these people here, in terms of their contribution financially to the economy, in terms of the social life, what is happening in terms of what they bring to our social connotation and our social life, or so on. You know, where we find the problem most with them, if it's in the city, in the outskirts, where it is, no type of such information is forthcoming. So what you find now, they're going to put us now in a way that we're going to be stereotyping. So you're going to see you're going to see these people on the East Coast, and you're going to stereotype them like those just in Georgetown, or the man who put the bomb at the gas station, because you're going to say, hey, Spanish is Spanish.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But the thing is again, because the system is failing us in terms of giving us the right type of information. And here you have said one of the key things that left out is that the gas stations be bombing up to now we know who own the gas station. So what is it? What is it really for us, how people do? And the thing is that when you leave people for quite some time to keep speculating, and remember social
Mm-hmm.
media and all those things,
Mm-hmm.
it tends to put people in a direction in terms of where they feel, who they heard from on social media, and what social media is being saying in a repetitive, keep repeating, or a repetitive way. They're going to hold on to that and believe, well, yeah, this is the gospel truth. And the government of itself are not coming out to say exactly, no, 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 this is what it is, this is from the start, and this is what we're working with, and this is what's going, and to keep things in that way. So the whole thing is in a topsy turvy, and believe you
I,
me, it is
I,
making things worse for us.
again, the tactics is massive because we are still trying to find out what is this hide and duck and seek about the ownership of the gas station, and so many other things are happening. Like I said earlier, we've seen these Venezuelans, these Spanish speaking people, they're flooding our hospitals, they're flooding our schools, they're security guards as well, they're guarding schools, and they can't speak English. And one would have thought that uh, the communication aspect that falls under the ambit of the office of the prime minister, where you always have Kwame Mackay making himself a fool, that he would use his time to put out little slogans out there. Hola, put out those little slogans, play those little things every day on our radio, then you're doing two things. One, you're educating Guyanese, and two, you're educating the Venezuelans. So in bits and pieces, we are learning a foreign language. Rather than you
Yes.
having to go to sit in a class, the government should be doing this, putting little stickers in public places, not only to show them where toilet is or to show them something else, but put stickers in public places. What is your name? How are you? Those little things. We've got NCN there that they used to do all kinds of craziness. We should use those media, those outlets that we have to educate our people, but the
But
government
let's go to
prefers to have the people of Guyana in a dump.
Mhm.
So you don't understand anything that is happening, and they have the authority now and all the leeway to do what they have to do. Again, the tactics is massive.
In your discussion there just now, you brought something to me which I don't want to overlook at all. And just what you said in terms of we have foreign nationals as security guards at our hospitals and schools and so on. We might even have them at our KPs and VPs, which
Mhm.
are very, oh my God, which are, oh, please, this is serious. This is serious. And I hope indeed that somebody's in authority is listening to us here tonight to really truly revisit that situation, because that is not something that we should allow at all. Even if you want to give them a little security guard job, maybe to watchman some machinery on the road, or whatever the case might be, or so on, but you can't bring them into our KPs and VPs.
Well,
You
I can
can't
say
bring
to
them
you,
into
Doctor.
those key places. That is very serious. And the thing is
Mhm.
this, as I'm saying, is that if we don't have any proper monitoring situation as it relates to who they are, where they came from, what is their background, or whatever the case might be, and we
Mhm.
are allowing them to have access to say that they are the ones who are going to protect or to guard those places, you could imagine what one night or one evening or next morning, what we can wake up and hear or to expect. So
Yep.
this is
And I'm
something that
saying
they
that,
need to put up seriously.
because at one of our schools in Georgetown, there was a break and enter this school. But the guard who is the security guard who is a Venezuelan couldn't explain to the security service what transpired, and items went missing from the schools. And so this is alarming and it's of concern, and all should be consumed and be concerned about this, because we cannot have people who can't communicate. The same thing happened when you go to the stores. You have these Venezuelans there and you go to ask for something and they have to tell you, oh, call somebody else. They can't answer you. They don't know what item you're asking for. And so we have got to be able, like I said, to educate on a twofold, and we've got to be very careful where we put some of these people. But because could you imagine if that guy had passed by the Georgetown Hospital and placed that bag somewhere in a central point? Could you imagine what would have been happening there? Could you imagine if that same guy had walked into Eve Leary and placed a black bag there, what would have happened? And so I am not sure whether this government is concerned about the security aspect of all that is happening. And I don't want to only talk about the Venezuelans. We have the Chinese. We just saw recently where a group of Guyanese workers working at this mining industry, this gold mining industry, and there was a brutal exchange in between Guyanese citizens and the management. And where is the Ministry of Labor? Where is the Ministry of Labor on this? Where are your health and your occupational health and safety officers? Where are they? And so we allow Venezuelans, we allow Brazilians, because we've got issues with the Brazilians in lithium, in those mining company there at Marundi, where we have these foreign nationals coming, occupying mass land space, doing all kinds of things, and Guyanese are left there at the mercy of them. And then by the time it blow out, the people gone about their business. And then, of course, they throw the tactics in and somebody collect a gold bar somewhere or two gold bars. And that's the end of it. So we've got to be a little more careful with what we do. When foreign nationals come to this country, they must abide by the laws of this country. But yeah, it seems to be a free for all.
But the thing is that I know even if even if the president so delegate and know that definitely the various ministers and where the responsibility lies, they're the one to ensure that wherever these things are happening, they hold people accountable. Accountability is a very, very serious thing. And I'm saying is that things are keep slipping away from us because people are not being held accountable, and it is destroying the fabric of the institutions. Because the thing is that, let me be honest, is that if we're the place and I want to really truly see that things go right, and then the person who's above me have no such interest,
Mhm,
automatically what you're forcing me to do, you're telling me to adopt the same type of interest and concern, not to be
mhm.
worried any longer of seeing things go right, because you're the one who's supposed to be responsible, and telling yourself that definitely if things doesn't go right, you're going to lose this position, or you're going to be knocked out or dismissed, and you don't worry about that. Therefore, why should me? And this is how the things keep happening and going on all the time. And if we don't do that and hold people accountable, everybody outsiders is going to come into this country, and they're going to see it free for all, because they're going to realize that, yes, here, you people got a voice, you people got concern, you people got so much you want, but then still, you can't move me from here. We're going to go nowhere, because the president, whoever other minister, or whoever it is, they are not concerned, and they will not even report appropriately whatever is happening on the ground. So definitely our story is going to be the best side of the story.
And so we need to move on from there because I think we've got quite a lot more to talk about. Dr. Williams, you served in the traffic department as a certifying officer, and you moved right up the ranks to, and you've been exposed to a wide variety of what happens in the Guyana police force. But we want to talk a little bit about this whole issue of parking tickets and presenting documents. We have seen over the last couple of months, police officers riding around the Georgetown, and they have these clamps on their bikes and in the trucks and so on, and persons' vehicles are being clamped. I remember just the other day there was a young lady who stopped at a business entity, took out her, I don't know if it's her mother, whoever the person, an elderly person. They had to put the person in a wheelchair, and they rolled the person into this business entity. Oh, they went to get a photograph. So they rolled the person into the business entity. They had, I think, two persons in the vehicle. The vehicle was on. So I think that there were two children in the vehicle, rolled the vehicle, the person in to come out and to remove the vehicle. Here comes the policeman clamping the wheels of this young lady vehicle. So by the time she got out, when her child called her, the policeman, she was shouting at him, he rode away. Whatever happened, he returned. And I mean, there are times when we think consideration could be given. But the police force has descended to a level where everything is about a $5,000 a Granger. Everything is about a bribe. So because the young lady kept explaining, look, this is my situation. Look, my vehicle is on. Look, this is what I went to. This is what I just went to roll my mom in there on a wheelchair. Look, I can show you. And he wasn't taking any bit of that. So he went on to write a ticket for the woman. He asked for her documents. So the woman then presented her documents. He wanted to hold her license. She said, no, I'm not going to give you my license to hold. Here is my license. You can take a picture of it. I can hold it in front of you so you can read it. There again, he asked, where are your documents? The woman brought out her other documents, fitness, insurance, and whatever else, registration, and so on. And in his mind, because the woman did not give the document to him, the woman failed to produce documents. So she was given another ticket. Now, could you shed some light on that? Because I think those ranks are overdoing it, and somebody needs to say something about it.
All right. Within the whole traffic traffic laws, okay, there are strict liability laws, and strict liabilities laws say no parking, no right turn, no left turn, right, no stopping. It says that is clear. Those are strict liability. Even if you do it by mistake, you do it by what, and so on, it is a violation. Okay, it can happen. But in terms of situation where persons may just stop to put off somebody, just as what you say, elderly person, and they does not create any obstruction to the traffic or so on, the police can exercise some amount of flexibility in that situation or circumstances. Also, it is still a responsibility of the driver in terms of him going to make a stop to put out an elderly person. He's required to make that observation and to know that definitely in doing so, he will not affect the flow of the traffic or whatever the case might be. So if he does that, if he obstruct the flow of the traffic, the police has a right where he can able exercise some amount of discretion and warning based upon the time being spent that he created the obstruction, or the police can proceed to issue a ticket. When it comes to documents, and many times people find themselves in that entanglement, okay, the law requires that you produce. And when it says produce, it's for you to submit or to give over to be examined, but not for the police to take it away. The only way the police may withhold the document if it expires and is keeping it as evidence. But if you produce your driver's license, you give it to the police, he examines, he takes the necessary information, he give it back to you. Same thing in terms of your revenue license, your fitness. Insurance, if you have it there, but the law remains the same, you have 5 days to produce your insurance. And if you fail to produce your insurance within the 5 days, the police can charge you. Even if you take it to the court and the insurance is enforced, the law still stands is that you failed to produce it within the time given. Okay? But the police has that privilege where we can exercise that office in terms of where he wants to charge you or not, but depends on the circumstances at the time and the offense that is being committed. But many times, this is something I'm very happy that you brought up for our viewers to know.
Mhm.
When the police ask for you to produce your documents, you're supposed to give it to him for him to examine, but not to take it away. And then when you complete examine and take the necessary information, you have to give it back to you. If he's going to take it away, you have to give you a reason why you're withholding my driver's license, why you're withholding my insurance policy, why you're withholding my revenue license, why you're withholding my fitness. And I hope that the police officers they are listening to, because many times on the roadway, when I see some of them adopt wrong postures and they're doing wrong things, I take the opportunity to bring them in and talk to them very quietly in a corner. A lot of them who just came into the system maybe 2 years or so don't know me. But then when I engage them, they say yes, they heard about me and things and so on, and I will talk to them because like a few times I saw some of them stand up in the middle of the road and
Mhm.
vehicles are flowing, right? Up and down, and they're standing in the middle there. So I had to ask them, I said, why are you standing in the middle of the road? I said, yes, you got on a uniform, but that doesn't mean that you're safe because you don't know the person
Yeah.
who's coming. Sometimes they learn to drive and the person you and they get panic, you know. I said, so many things can happen with your presence in the middle. I said, if you step out in the middle of the road, it simply means that you're going to stop somebody. But otherwise, said that, find yourself in a corner. Okay. So I think many of them need training. I don't know to what extent they're being trained. The next thing too, they need people who have the experience to bring it to them so that they can really truly understand and to give a
Mhm.
service.
Mhm.
No, the thing is this too, Coretta. Let me understand is that police must able to adapt to the culture of the community he serves. Believe you me, the way how you will do policing in Georgetown, it will be different the way you do policing and vigilance around East Coast, you know.
That is true.
The way we do policing in Georgetown is be different how we do policing in Barbies.
Mhm.
Because why? You must be able to understand the culture of the people that you serve. And that is how you can able now to adapt and help to give them that service and to meet them at that level and create a good relationship with them. Because remember, your success depends upon the relationship you have with the community you serve. So that's very, very critical and important that the police they must know you cannot behave the same way how you behave with the people in Georgetown when you go to Barbies. I've worked in all the divisions. And that is these are some of the things that I need people, especially the ranks, them to understand. But to our viewers, please try not to get entangled with the police. They ask you for your documents. The law requires that you produce. When you produce, you give it to them, they examine it, and they give you back. If they're
But
not giving you permission, just ask them why.
you know what I found ironic though is that this very police officer, he wrote the ticket. He had the driver's name. He had he had the driver's age. He had the driver's address and everything. But yet you're saying that the driver refused to give you the document, failing to produce document. But you got all the information there. You didn't snap anything and send it to GRA. And it's like and then the big engagement you want to have with members of the public. Now you are an officer of the peace. If the driver starts going on, then you have to find a way to calm the driver. And so many times we find our police officers who feel that they're above the law, and so they get arrogant and they want to go on and go on. And I want to say to those who might be listening to us, so you can share it with them. Police officers ought to operate differently if you want to be able to build relationships with citizens and have good relations. Then your conduct has got to be different. Now you can't write a ticket for somebody by and tell them failing to produce documents, and you got all the information right in front of you. All the information you write, you copy and you write. I mean,
You
that
know,
that is crazy.
what I've seen in terms of some of the things on social media, and in terms of the police confrontation with the public, I see some of them is because of ego. Some of them want
Yeah.
to prove their ego and to prove that I'm in the
Mhm.
uniform, I'm the law, I'm saying this and this is that and
Mhm.
thing and so on. And not and come back to again, not realizing that here, this is a society you're serving. You're serving a society where people are broken. People are on the edge. People are stressed. People are not having their needs met, and all these type of things. People late for work. They got to drop the children here and all these things. So you have a society that definitely there's so many things going on. So there and then you must be in such a situation and well trained to understand them, and yet still not to lose your cool or your focus. And my colleague, Mr. Conway, retired Assistant Commissioner Conway, in our time, we have worked together and we have observed some of those things, and quickly we try to get on top of it and curb the situation. And one of the
Mhm.
things I heard him on his program with him and Mr. Slow, that persons entering into the force are required to have psychiatric evaluation
That's true.
rather than just taking people in, because some of them come from some real serious mental stress issue
Mhm.
background.
Mhm.
Some of them, believe you me, and yeah, despite you may need to give them a chance of coming into the force, but to give them the uniform and to give them power is a very, very risky thing.
Risky thing.
And you
And I agree with
need to
you.
ensure that you have that type of evaluation. You know, and you really want to know if they're ready and really understand the responsibility ahead of them. Simple, when they come, and even before you move them forward and put them in uniform, put them in a room, give them a scenario, and ask them
Yeah.
to read, and then they must be able to tell you if the situation presents itself and you're the police, what will be your course of action?
So many
And
shambles.
you will hear some things,
I
and,
could
and
imagine.
definitely, and right, and that of itself give you already immediate understanding in terms of, hey, who you dealing with, the background where they come from, and even if you're going to take them on board, how much you really got to work with them really truly now to get them now to come around and to understand that here, policing it like that, this is what is required, this is direction you got to go, and whatever it is, and able to, get those things. But Coretta, as I said before, and I keep saying it again, I don't know what really is happening in the force, because since 2020, you know, I was sent out and I remained out until I retired last year, and I'm not involved in the operations, in the training, in the planning, whatever it is. But for what little I'm seeing in terms of social media, what I'm reading in the news, what I'm hearing directly from some persons who I may engage personally, you know, there's a lot of deviation. There are a lot of structured and things that was set up there and leave there
Hmm.
that could have
Hmm.
still work and help our ranks. Many of them are not being, engaged or used, because it is saying that, this is Paul Williams the thing, this is Conway them, and this is who, and this is who thing, this is we thing now, and whatever the case might be.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
the thing is that there's so many things that we have left behind are things which are very, very good to help our ranks and to give this service a very, give this nation a very excellent and professional service. If they're
You know.
properly applied and used, you understand me? Rather than being personalized. It's not about me, it's not
Mhm,
about whoever, it's about Guyana and the Guyana
mhm.
police force. So
And it's about giving service. I remember as a little girl, my great uncle, the late Henry Fraser, served as commissioner of police. I can't remember the stages he was at during that time, but I remember when he was commissioner of police, and he served with dignity. He wore that uniform with dignity. I remember again another family friend, Lloyd Skip Roberts, Lloyd Barker. I remember Alvin Smith, who served as crime chief. We had Leon Trim. And I'm calling some of these names to say to you that these men served, and there were some other women too alongside them. They served with integrity and dignity, and it was a big thing to be a police officer. Now, I don't need to say. And it's disgusting. It's
the
disgusting.
thing,
But as we continue, Paul, we want to talk about this one here. The lawlessness in the police force, it continues. We saw just a couple of days ago a policeman on the rampage with an AK-47, and he had no control over that weapon, and shots were being fired, and so many lives were at risk. I mean, where are we?
when I saw this video, I never thought it was a policeman. I thought it was someone from a private security in the area, and find himself in this type of predicament. I never thought it was a policeman until when the information keeps unfolding and brings this year. There's so many questions because based upon what I recognize from his regulation number, he have joined recently. I don't think he has 2 years service. Okay,
But look,
the question
the,
is, how he get
go ahead.
access to that firearm
Mhm,
without
mhm.
the supervisor not opening the strong box and give it to him? You understand me? What was the purpose of him having that firearm to be in the public? Was he sent on a duty? You understand me? Is he a uniform police and ought to be in uniform? How come, there's so many questions? Then also, is the subdivisional officer really truly aware of this? And if the subdivisional officer truly aware of it, it means to the level of the commander, and what else followed thereafter? What happened to the wrongs them that he discharged? How can he account for them?
You know,
Okay. It is real terrible to the extreme, or to the extent where we've been pointing it to someone. What it is so sad. And here again, as I said before, when we talk about the psychiatric evaluation of persons who were taken into the force, because he may appears to be a young man who looks so well, who looks of good standing, real healthy and everything and so on. But then check it out. Sometimes he's a young man who's being troubled. And sometimes he's a young man when he consumes alcohol, totally out of control, cannot control him. Look how many persons he could have caused a life, or caused
yeah,
serious injuries to. If he had really decided to use that firearm in a you know in a very rapid way, or in a way totally uncontrollable, because still he tried to exercise some amount of control, trying to really get to the individual or the target that he wants. But even though I was there and with the other persons around, I would have been fearful, because you don't know to what level or at any time he would have decided, say, well, look, by all means necessary, I gotta get you, and I don't care who in the way or who are wrong, or whatever the
mhm,
case might be.
mhm,
So
mhm.
there's so much of this, but then, Coretta, these things keep piling up, because why? There is no level of accountability. There is no level of strict. punishment or penalty upon persons in the force who are doing these things. You understand me? If it is happening at higher level, what do you think is going to happen at the lower level?
Mm-hmm.
You understand me? Children live what they learn, and children learn what they live. It is the
Yep.
same thing in the organization.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
understand me? If I happens to be Mr. Williams' driver, and Mr. Williams is a man who do this and who do that, whatever the case might be, and I got secret from Mr. Williams, it simply means if I do anything,
Yep.
Mr. Williams can't tell me nothing nor do me
Can't tell me
nothing.
nothing.
Mr. Williams been doing this and doing that, I know and the commissioner or nobody said no, Mr. Williams are dismissed. So they can't dismiss me.
So
So these things are very serious, very serious. So we're still waiting because there's so many other things happen, and all we know that it initially burst out.
mhm. And what we've seen is the young man was placed on close arrest, and then we saw today that the young man has been transferred to Mabaruma police station. So he has moved from Port Kaituma, and he's now being transferred to Mabaruma police station. So it's just a tap on the risk. And so this young man now has the authority to go there and to do the same thing, maybe because his connections are close. And so the tactics is massive. Not a word from the Guyana police force on this whole matter. But I'm sure if it were an ordinary citizen, that citizen would have been thrown into the lockups, placed before the courts, and then,
This police conduct has even been worse than the person who they may have arrested with the firearm, some contractor and a whole set of
yeah,
money,
yeah.
because I don't think the man would have brandished a firearm with anybody, but it's just that they may have received information that he had a legal firearm. So they're supposed to be treated in the same regard, in the same aspect. You understand me? Because this was very, very life threatening in terms of how he displayed whatever he was doing. And you move
It
and
just
you put him on the close arrest, and you're moving from one station to the next. I
mhm.
don't believe. I want to say on the face of it that that information is incorrect. Let me say it until otherwise, because I don't think, honestly, the commissioner and other senior people at the top there actually treat this type of incident with such a pattern of risk, as you said, just moving from one station to the next. I think
Well,
it is much more severe action. But I think let me take it for that the person who bring the information, they're just saying something to provoke the whole situation, that they want more to come out, or let me hear exactly what more is happening, because I can't see, honestly, it is really truly coming to me questioning my doubt as it relates to the commissioner and the senior command of the force gone to the level that they will tolerate that from a just joint constable. Therefore, if that is so, there's much more to desire.
he probably holding a lot of secrets for people, because I remember the issue of a senior police officer being sanctioned by the US government, and he was implicated in narcotics, transporting and stashing of narcotics and so on, right in Region 1. So who knows? Maybe this guy is connected somewhere, but like you said, we'll wait to hear what else is coming out of that. But again, the lawlessness in the police force continues. And I have to bring this one up. We had just recently, I think this is December again, where I think it's the death anniversary is going to be sometime very soon, of those 5 servicemen who lost their lives in the helicopter crash. To date, we can't have any bit of information on what would have caused that crash. But 5 servicemen, 4 of them senior servicemen, who would have lost their lives. 2 would have survived. And I keep questioning this, because to date as well, we can't hear anything from the 2 survivors, nothing from the 2 survivors. I know the 5 were honored. A road was named, a concussion highway was named after them, Heroes Highway. We don't see anything that is named after the 2 survivors. We hear nothing about the 2 survivors. And so it leaves one to wonder whether those two survivors were actually part and parcel of that crash, whether they were in that craft, because nothing, not even a scratch on their skin. And so, and the disappearance of these two young men, nothing. We have heard from the crazy vice president that the black box would have damaged. But I have a little video that the operator is going to share with us, where we have learned that the black box is so secure that whatever happens to this aircraft, the black box, you're always able to retrieve that, and that could give you the sequence of things to happen. Just share your thoughts until the operator is able to share that video with us.
Well, indeed, that matter has been a concern nationally in terms of what happened and the circumstances under which my senior colleagues, they would have lost their lives, And I know many times, even not publicly in quiet spaces, that still boggles in people's mind as to really what transpired. And I think, it is ample time that something should say to us nationally what happens, but the government got to know why they still really wanted to, sit or withhold information where that is concerned. But, it is still out there. It still has concerns. And I hope that someday we can hear exactly what happens. And as I said before, what I know for sure is that these are the things that a government need to avoid in terms of just allowing people to go away with speculations and saying things. As people speculate, people saying things, and you as a government don't say exactly what happened, or to say something to the people that really truly makes sense. You allow the people's propaganda or what they speculate, the prime focus of the day of the message, and definitely puts you in a bad light. And that is the things that we need to really truly have a government who show that level of accountability and try as much as possible not to allow these things to really truly be out there and deliberated by persons in the street and running away with their own perceptions.
Well, I think this government has reached the level of Ralph Gonsalves where they just don't care. But I just want to remind them of what happened recently in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, where after 25 years, the people would have spoken, and the people decided that they're going to put lashes on him and he must take it like a man. And I want this government to understand that you can do so much, but not forever. I mean, so many lives have been disrupted with that crash. And to date, not a word from this government. All you keep hearing, one time you hear a story that like this, another time you hear a story like this, another time you hear a story. So, but the pieces are not matching. They're not meshing. They're not coming together. The kind of foolishness that we're hearing. And so, citizens have been speculating and saying all kinds of things. One time you hear, oh, it was somebody else who was piloting the helicopter. Another time you hear there was a tug of war and somebody said, no, it's not you. You must be at the back. You go to the back. I'm going to fly the helicopter. And all kinds of things. One time you hear it was shot out of the sky. Another time you heard it bumped into something. And why can't we not have closure to this? I'm hoping that operator is going to be able to play that video for us. But while we're talking about that, what has happened to the two survivors? Is this a mystery for them too? Or we have this here.
TWA Flight 800 exploded in midair just off Long Island on July 17, 1996. It caused the death of all 200. It was the subject of the longest crash investigation in civil aviation history. Eventually, thanks to essential information recovered from the aircraft's flight data recorder, the cause of the crash was revealed. So how do they retrieve and analyze the data on an aircraft's black box?
Bearing 313 altimeter 2, 907, Marshall on the 150, 24 Angels 9.
Jim Cash of the National Transportation Safety Board in Washington, D.C. has a tough job. When there's an airplane accident, it's down to him to make sense of the data recorded by two vital pieces of equipment: the flight data recorder, known as the black box, and the cockpit voice recorder.
Operator, thank you so much. We're going to cut it there, operator. But I just played that so that we can see. This is an aircraft that exploded went down into the sea. They took time to go down there and what, and they were able to retrieve the black box. But here we are being told that the black box damaged in this crash. You can't find it, so you can't get anything. And when you see all these other documentaries, when you do research and you see all these other documentaries, you want to know whether somebody here bright, real bright, and somebody real stupid. And again, the lawlessness continues to happen in this country. And that's why I continue to say the tactics is massive. I remember the vice president say Guyana got some real stupid people. And yes, he thinks that people are stupid. But I want him to understand that Guyanese are smart, very smart. And that's why we keep pounding for this and that and the other and the other. But again, the tactics is massive. We want to move very quickly because I know our time is counting down on us. We saw this big bold walk through Tiger Bay the other day, big bold walk through, and one wonders whether Tiger Bay just appeared there a week ago. Dr. Williams, you know that the PPP governed this country for 23 years in succession. Tiger Bay was always there. What it never dawned on you there then, and it's just a stone's throw from the official residence. It never dawned on anyone that the people in Tiger Bay are suffering. How all of a sudden it dawned on you? And so here again, the tactics is massive because you know what? Local government elections might be somewhere along the way. And so we're going out there and we're doing this and we're doing that. But I want you to watch this.
We don't want to change your life, but we want to give you a better life. How you do? Come let me help you. What are you lifting out? This is not only a cleanup we're doing, is we changing out the whole of Tiger Bay and Kingston to make it beautiful. The president is coming through tomorrow. He's going to walk through here and then he's going to the One Guyana kitchen where he's cooking for you, right? So you can eat the president's hand, his own cook up, right? So you can come. What are you doing? You all right? Yeah, this is... Yeah.
We don't know. We are coming to get to food.
It's not ghetto. We coming to make sure that while you have the life you want, that it's not going to be a ghetto anymore. So President Ali is trying to make sure the whole Tiger Bay, the whole of Kingston, you got good drainage, you got good roads, all of you have jobs. Hi. The hands of a man who is working.
Operator, I think you missed the part that we really wanted to catch. You missed that part. We want to catch a specific part. Just see if you can find that one for us. But again, Dr. Williams, while the operator is looking for that, let's talk about this. Your thoughts?
For all my career, I've known Tiger Bay. And I remember during Larry Lewis, Commissioner Larry Lewis. Commissioner Larry Lewis was the one who caused the Guyana police force to bring Tiger Bay into focus and started to reshape the minds of the young ones there and also to capture those who weren't finding themselves in delinquency or any type of bad behavior. Because what we used to do, we used to send a bus. We started off with a minibus going in there to pick up them youths on Saturday and to bring them to the police sports club, and where we would have done some curricular training with them in terms of like sports. We would have done some craft, and also we would have done some amount of schoolwork in terms of maths and English. And also we had their program, the Drug Awareness Resistance Education Program, which was being spearheaded by the juvenile department of the CID, and all those things we were getting them involved in. And remember when we started with a small minibus, maybe just like about 3 or 4 children used to come. And when they go back, and when the others started to observe and see, when they come home, they come in with stuff, they come in with books, and they come in with these things, and able now to discuss among the peers and the parents in terms of what they've learned. That event started to build the numbers. And eventually we had to start sending a 36-seater bus. Okay? And with that now, also help us now to get involved with the parents, because the parents saw the benefits of the children, and the parents now start to even cooperate more with the police. And that was one of the things that really truly bring down the crime situation coming out from Tiger Bay. Because you remember, people from Tiger Bay used to actually target people in Main Street and those things and so on.
Mhm.
But we have those youths now in there who used to be our persons giving us information. Anything happened, they could have tell you, well, is who and what's not thing. And then those people realized that these children were actually cooperating and working along with the police. So the parents and the other friends and neighbors had no alternative in terms of adjusting their behavior
Yes.
and come to that, right? But now, just as what you said, Tiger Bay has been there for years. Now, seeing that the minister gestures there and thing and so on, I don't really have the full details in terms of whether they wanted to actually develop Tiger Bay and to put those people back there, or they want to get them out of Tiger Bay and to develop the place and find somewhere else for them. I don't know. So, and that's one of the things. And that's one of the things that I think the people of Tiger Bay need to understand, is that I don't think the intention is to develop and put them back. I think the intention is to develop and get them out. You understand what I mean? So getting them out, the thing is that those people need to know, if after being there for so long, if they have a legitimate right there and whatever the case might be, who are the owners and whatever it is. And if honestly they wanted to just be in this place like that, I don't know where they're going, what life will be for them thereafter, what the government intend to do for them if they're taking them other places, whatever the case might be. And I think the people there of Tiger Bay are to really truly form a strong group and have proper people to represent them, and to really truly get into what is the true intention of this government in terms of now coming after Tiger Bay.
Well, like I said, the tactics is massive. And so while we don't have a problem with cleaning up of Tiger Bay and ensuring the lives of the residents there is better, we need to truly understand what that is all about. I mean, only that Sunday you could have found to cook up rice. Why they cook up rice last Sunday? Because many of the residents in Tiger Bay, they're finding it hard, things tight, and they can't find food. So don't come with a one-time cook up rice and give them, and then tomorrow morning critics or somebody gonna cuss them and tell them they're hungry belly. Find cook up rice to cook every time for them. If not cook up rice, some kalaloo and some rice and some dal and so. But I don't know if operator has the part that I really wanted us to see on that thing there. But again, not only Tiger Bay. We got Big Yard. We got Broad Street. We got Albistown. We got in Tocqueville. You know? We got so many areas that want cleaning up. So I want to see them out there doing the cleaning up. And don't come there and make big smiles and so on and give the people big smiles and so on. And then you got other things behind you. It's like what transpired at Stabrook Market just the other day, where the minister went out there. She walking up and down around the market square, talking with minibus drivers, put up bins and so good. And then the next thing you know, Berlin walls were put up there. And the vendors couldn't operate. So this is the part that I'm talking about, where the tactics is massive, because you come there and you tell the people one thing, and then tomorrow morning, by the time they turn up there, you were there 2:00 in the morning. The men were there and they put in huge walls, blocking the vendors out from there. So these are concerns that we have to hold serious, and we have to be on the bandwagon, because we know what the PPP gives. We know how deceptive they are, that they will come and do one thing and then they do something else. I saw some pictures circulating about properties that are owned by Minister Zulfikar. And the person was writing up there that the same place at Mocha where they displaced those residents from, those are some of the very lands that Minister allegedly Mustafa's having, and he's putting down properties there. So again, the deception, the tactics is massive, where they come and they smile with you, but behind your backs, they're pulling the carpet from under your foot, under your feet, under your foot, under your legs, whatever. They're pulling it away from you, causing you to fall. And that's what we have to be very mindful of. Operator, I don't know if you've been able to find
Bring a piece.
that
It's okay, you smoke. Bring a piece to me and all. It's okay you
Right.
smoke. Bring a piece to me and all. It's okay you smoke. Bring a piece to me and all.
Paul, I want to hear you on this one.
You know, that I see it as a part of political gimmicks, but yet still, you know, it is something whereby it is not expected from a leader. You understand me? A
Thank
minister
you.
of that,
Thank
because
you.
here it is you actually encouraging something that the law is against. You understand
Mhm.
me? And then there it is now in your absence, and they do it. Because the person, you know, some people say, "Hey, you police, you can't lock her because the minister been here." She say it's no problem for we smoke because she marks for a giant on these things and so on. Because people are to that level where they can take certain things and just hold it for wholesale and hold it for a passport, hold it for a justification. And I think as leaders, we have to be careful in terms of what we're
Exactly.
saying and where we're saying it and who we're saying it to. Because at the end of the day, look, that is on record. That is on
Hmm.
record.
Hmm.
You understand? That is on
And so,
record.
I held that because I want prayer to understand that if at any time I hear any one of them young man down in Tiger Bay, they get hold for spliff, she must go and represent them because she said it's all right, smoke it and roll up one for me too. I hope she gonna be prepared to go and represent them when the police hold on to one of them for a spliff. I mean, as leaders, we've got to be, like you said, we've got to be responsible. Don't come out there with your political foolishness and leading people astray, and then behind their backs tomorrow morning when the police hold on them, you're not going out, you're not going to go out there to represent them. We got to be sound in our reasoning. We've got to be sound, very, very sound, very, very sound in our reasoning. We've got to be. And this
Um,
is absolute nonsense.
Coretta, if you remember during our campaign, you understand me? My messages out there were to our people is to wake up, come to consciousness, realize what is going on. Because if we fail to realize what is going on, we're gonna miss the train. I told them we're gonna miss the train. And this is not about time to play with your future and your opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
This was the mark. This is the time. You understand me? But yet still, I'm of the view that some of them seems not to understand and to realize what is happening, what is going on around them. You understand me? And they need to understand that the system is being designed in such a way in order to take advantage of them, to allow them to be misled, to allow
Mm-hmm.
them to redirect their focus on
Mm-hmm.
things which
Mm-hmm.
have no importance and not to look at the things that are very important for them at this time. You understand me? If our people doesn't understand and wake up, the foreigners and those going to come here and find a home and find a place before them
Mm-hmm.
who want to go here and
Yep.
doesn't really truly make sense. A lot of them, I keep talking to them and let them know that in the villages where you came from, those are your ancestral lands and those things. Ensure that you see that your rights are being respected and upheld. Look into your interests there, because if you don't, that is where those same foreigners and those Spanish people and everything, you're going to find that they're going to go and occupy and everything. And then nobody is going to put them out or nobody's going to give them wrong. Because why? They're going to say that we failed to show that interest and the commitment towards what our ancestors left. And we
Mm-hmm.
seem that we don't care or we don't mindful or we want it. So if the people occupy, that's it. And keep talking to them over and over. And this is what our program is about, to sensitize and bring things to them, to get them to understand, come to this awareness.
So, Dr. Williams, I know our time has run out on us, but I just want to get from you. We recognize that the Guyana police force is dearly in need of a reform. What are three important steps or three things, three suggestions that you would want to give to start the reformation of the Guyana police force so that we were in our police force. We would see a better people approach it. What are 3 suggestions that you would want to leave with?
Well, the thing, 3 suggestions I will give to the force. You understand me? 1, ensure that you have the right people in the right position. There are people in the force who are capable of doing the right things, who know what they have to do. But from my observation and what I'm hearing, those people are the people who are set aside or being sidelined. And then you're having a set of people who are incompetent and doesn't know what they have to do. And they're the ones who are running or leading the divisions and the sections and all these things. And this way the problem continues. So that's 1. 2, please, it is important that persons are being held accountable for their misconduct, for their wrongdoings, or whatever the case might be. If you don't do that, it simply means that this type of ill conduct is going to continue to widen, is going to continue to run away, and it's going to continue to destroy or damage the image of the force. It is important. It is very important. And because people are not being held accountable, that is why so many infractions keep growing, and keep destroying the force more and more. And last but not least, it is important that ranks be very professional and recognize that the public matters. The public comes first. The public that you're serving comes first. It's not about the uniform. It's about the public who you're serving. The uniform is there, but yes, you are a public servant. Look at the public with professionalism. Look at the public from a humanitarian standpoint. Look at the public with respect. Look at the public where you come from. Because had it been not in the uniform and you in the situation of those people, you would have wanted to be treated professionally.
Exactly.
So these are the things that I want you to understand, because at some stage or the other, you will have to return to society. So those are my 3 advice to them.
Well, I want to thank you so much for being with us, and I want to remind our viewers and those who are listening to us here locally and those who are listening to us for the field, that you're going to continue to sound the alarm bells so that the PPP government would understand that we are wide awake and we understand what is happening. We understand that the tactics is massive. We understand the games that they want to play with us, and we're going to say it to you. This time, not long time. And we want you to know that we're not going to continue to accept you being disguised as wolf in sheep clothing. We are going to call you out. When you do the foolishness, we're going to call you out. So Priya, you got plenty more work to do. We did not get a chance to touch any bit on education and on health, but we'll have to do that at another time.
Yes.
This is all that we have on the program for this evening. Viewers, I want to thank you so much. Dr. Williams, I want to thank you again for accepting this invitation. And look, we've got to do this again because we've got to talk some more to our people and let them understand our security is important. And if those at the helm don't understand, then we've got to filter the information to our people on the ground so they understand what is happening. Viewers, do take care. I recognize too that there have been lots and lots of road accidents. Persons have lost their lives. Be careful on the roadways. Be cautious. Look out for yourself and look out for those who are not even looking out for themselves. Take care. Let's continue to be one people, one nation, one destiny, and let's continue to have the love for each other. Do take care and may God continue to bless you. Have a good night.